thing is, like, it's not even so much like the violence. I just don't find that much entertainment in martial arts presented in a realistic way.
I got you.
Like, so I'm into action movies and whatever, and I love seeing people like beat each other up and
Right.
stuff.
You love like
But-
Raid Redemption.
Yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
jump off of that wall.
Yeah.
He's a WWE guy.
So I'll watch like fight highlights and that kind of stuff, whatever. But like I feel like if I did get into martial arts, I'd appreciate it a lot more. But like I don't really do that, so I'm kind of, and the thought of getting punched in the face just doesn't work for me, man. So I got
Here, tell us a rite of passage. Everyone should know how it feels to get hit in the face.
yeah.
Sounds like somebody who likes hitting people in the face.
See, here's the thing though. Here's the thing. I live my life so that I don't get punched in the face. Because I feel like I've failed as a person if I got hit in the face, because like
You probably deserved it to some degree.
exactly, you have to be a certain type of person to be hit in the face. Like I'm just like,
What if someone just
I'll
hits you in
avoid
the
that.
face because you're black?
See, that's I like how you got a racial thing in there.
Hey, man. Then that's my bad for being in that position. I should have went to that country, yo.
Yeah. No, that's the thing growing up in Houston is like you just have to be ready to be punched in the face because that's what life is.
Yeah, I'm a soft Toronto boy, man.
This little mark right here, that's literally somebody hitting me in the middle of my face for playing basketball. Like I was playing basketball too good for them,
Nice.
and they hit me in the face.
Was this
Yeah.
here?
No, this was like
Over
middle
there.
school.
Okay.
I'd say that's a W for real. That means you just
Yeah,
Nah, that's
Yeah.
what that
you
means.
just ankling
He couldn't
them.
beat you playing
Yeah,
basketball.
exactly.
He had to beat you.
He had to beat you up.
Thanks for the moral victory. I was the one with the broken nose, but
It's the
all
principle.
right, cool, man. I like what you're wearing, man. I like
man.
it.
All right, we're gonna do a breakdown in their
You
outfits.
too, but this
Have you seen that video?
Yeah.
There's a video on. It's just this guy who walks around the street, and then he asks people to like tell him what price their clothes are.
Oh, yes, I know that channel.
It's freaking like I don't know how, but
No,
like
that
you gotta
triggers,
sit
it
there and
triggers
just
me so
freaking-
much, man. Like, I'm like, because like a lot of these guys,
They're so small. It's like 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
rocking $2,000 worth of clothes.
I'm no like fashion expert or anything by any means. But the thing is, I feel like it's kind of a cop-out when you just buy expensive brands and put it together and claim it's fashion when it doesn't match or anything like that. Like there's
Right.
no actual style there.
Yeah.
It's just it's Gucci, Saint Laurent, whatever. So
You know what though?
it has to be
They
fashion,
can always
you know?
say, "Yo, this is fashion."
Exactly.
You're
That's
poor,
the thing.
you
It's
don't
such a cop-out.
understand it.
It's such a cop-out, man. Okay, like
Have you seen him when you rolled into OVO? And
Yeah.
they broke down the entire crew.
and Drake had like a $500,000.
Wasn't it
No,
a
no, no, no.
million?
It was $900,000.
Yeah, that man.
Dang.
He had like a watch that was like 300K or something like that.
Yeah.
some madness like that. That's wild.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'm going out. That's why I got this on. Because
See-
normally it's probably $300,000 less.
Yeah.
I'd call it unnecessary, but if I had that much money, I'd probably do that. So I can't even
You'd buy a
hate.
$300,000 watch.
Most definitely. I can't.
Watches are
Really? I like this. Hold on.
useless.
Because I was
even
thinking about
hate,
this
yo.
the other day. Because we all have like rich people dream every now and then.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if I had all the money, I was like, I don't think I dress that differently. I just have cooler shoes. But you would actually go ahead and you're like, you know what? I
No.
need some glasses that can.
Yeah. So here's my thing, right? Is that I'm not the type to get a mansion. I'd probably want one of those like really expensive condos in like the inner city or something
Got
like
it,
that,
got
right?
it, yeah.
So no mansion. I'm not a gearhead or anything like that, but I'd like a nice car. But I wouldn't be like buying multiple like cars just for the hell of it or whatever.
I need at least 4.
Jewelry, I'm not too big on, but I will spend crazy on a watch. Okay, like the Pateks or Patek Philippe's, whatever
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
called,
yeah.
whatever.
Oh, you got it right.
Yo, yeah. Okay, I spend like crazy on that. On actual like the clothes, I'll just like spend like so much on that. Or whatever.
I feel like he'd be walking around in like a NASA suit if you let him.
Yeah,
like nobody have one of these.
Yeah,
Yo, NASA suits are expensive. I just recently saw how much it's 13 million,
Well,
I
that's
think.
the joke. Oh wow, that's way more than I thought.
Yo, what?
Yeah. So if you wanted the ultimate flex,
That's drip.
show up in a NASA
I got that. I got
suit.
that intergalactic drip, yo.
He'd have a NASA suit with like the knee burned out a little bit, like that.
Yeah.
Just like, it's been worn in.
No, you know what I'd actually spend my money on though? I would buy a full like used Star Wars clone trooper outfit.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Like just the full thing that they use in action movies. I spend whatever money necessary
Yeah.
to acquire that. And that'd be a mess. See, I got my Star Wars shirt right here. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Nice.
Are you still a fan?
Oh, most definitely.
Of course,
man.
man. It's on his
after
chest.
they're just stabbing this.
Hold on a second.
Okay, we're getting into this
The
now.
Last Jedi was a good movie.
Why?
And y'all can fight me on it.
Why?
okay?
All right.
Here's the thing.
I
Here's the
agree.
reason why. Number one. Okay.
I gotta lean back. Sorry.
He's getting serious now.
I pushed my mic. I'm gonna let these guys fight it out.
Ryan Johnson did what he had to do to spark interest back in Star Wars again. Okay, because people when they saw episode 7, it was a good beginning, right? But everyone was like, yeah, it's cool. But nobody was really like excited about it. There wasn't as much conversation. More people were talking about Avengers and whatever.
Yeah, but
After
that was
the Last
calculated.
Jedi,
They decided that it was
Yeah,
to tell
true.
the exact same story with different people in a certain.
And I like that movie.
Yeah, I liked it. I'll say I liked
At
it.
The Last Jedi, the amount of people who are interested in Star Wars now and are talking about it and the think pieces in the conversation has skyrocketed. Okay, for so long, right? And also, I understand that like there's certain parts of the movie, like let's say when Leia was like floating in space or whatever, and that was weird. Okay, it's not a perfect movie, right? But the people who are like, it killed the franchise, it ruined the character of Luke Skywalker. The whole Luke Skywalker thing, I don't understand because number one, it was never once stated in the original trilogy that this dude was some perfect guy, right? He almost killed Darth Vader before he stopped himself and controlled himself and didn't go through with it. The Kylo Ren thing, he almost did it, but he didn't do it. And everyone's acting like he did do it.
Yeah, he's
right?
older though. Now he knows more. He's already
but the
made
thing
the
is, he's like, how does he know more?
But think
He was
about
the
it.
last Jedi. He had no master.
That's
He was
but
a
think
kid.
about it.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
People just think Star Wars is like, oh yeah, it's like the original trilogy was like this almost great adventure, whatever. That was war. So then when you're older and you go through all that PTSD and whatever, and you have the opportunity, you have a vision where you think it might happen all over again.
Yeah.
Okay. Like planets was getting blown up, yo. So you think, okay, I could potentially stop it. You would think about it for a little bit. It's like, would you kill a baby Hitler thing, right?
I'm okay with. Okay,
Yeah.
continue.
So then after that whole thing, okay. A lot of people are mad about that. I don't understand that. And then there's like this whole like pacing issues and like certain plot points or whatever that people didn't like the whole Canto Bite casino thing, whatever, which I thought was pretty cool, but you know, it's like my whole thing was that people are kind of they're just mad because they didn't get what they wanted. Okay.
Right.
That's the thing. And when you're like someone like me who didn't grow up, like wasn't even alive when the originals came out.
I didn't even watch the originals either until later.
I just took the story as it was.
Yeah.
Right. But if you could imagine somebody before Darth Vader was announced as Luke's father, they could have been in the theaters like, yo, what the heck? That makes no sense. He spent 2 movies trying to kill him or whatever, and all of a sudden he's his dad. Like, that's so stupid, whatever. Because they had their own theories and expectations in their head, right? So I'm pretty sure when like my younger brother or whatever watches these trilogy, and also the trilogy's not done, people, okay? They're acting like it is, not done. When they watch this later, Snoke dying and not having his explanation will be as much as Palpatine having 0 explanation until a whole other prequel trilogy.
Oh,
right?
Yassine!
Take that in. Nobody knew
He's calculating
he
the
was
rebuttal.
Darth Sidious. Nobody knew any of that. Okay, and the guy just gets picked up and thrown by Darth Vader into a well. That's the most anticlimactic death for a big bad in like since like the Wizard of Oz. Okay, where like he's just a guy behind a curtain. That's basically what it was. So for me, with the whole Snoke thing, that was necessary because number one, you didn't want to repeat Palpatine.
Yeah.
And it was a great plot twist that made it different, which is what people were saying, that they needed it to be different and new and fresh and all that stuff like that.
It's like a hip hop battle right here. All right. Hold on. Yassine, you got it. Go.
All right. So first thing, right? If you take away all of the points that you're talking about, which can be explained to some degree, the movie itself, is a bad movie. It's constructed badly, right? They like. In an effort for you to give new flavor and new blood into a movie, and then just but like you set up a bunch of things in the first movie, and then you change it all up and you completely you take it apart in the second movie, and then when you call it we're subverting expectations.
See, here's the
this
thing,
is
though.
bad. It's bad storytelling.
I understand that, but here's the thing. Again, like I have to keep telling people, the trilogy is not done yet. So let's say the Knights of Ren. The Knights of Ren are coming in this movie.
Yeah.
After they're probably going to explain that away, nobody's going to care that they weren't in the second one, right? The whole Snoke plot line, again, he was just a dude in the first movie, man. Nobody said,
but what you
there's
wanted,
some like prophecy.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is that, again, just because people wanted that doesn't mean that because they didn't get that means it's bad.
All right,
right?
so here's what
that's actually a fair point, though.
It's not 100% like it's just like objectively bad. It's just not what you wanted.
Fair.
Right?
I'll give you the leeway in the fact that there's one more movie to come out. The problem here is this: we've seen this way too many times.
Yeah.
We've seen studios and writers set up certain things, cannot deliver on the last one. Way like I don't believe that most can do it. We saw Lost. We saw Game of Thrones. We've seen where they're like, all right, we're gonna do something that's completely gonna mess with people, but it's still set up in a bad way. So that's what I'm trying to get at is this: that final movie needs to be so good and to pack in explanations for why you would set up something in one 2-hour movie, dismantle all of it in the second 2-hour movie just for you to have a payoff in the final 2-hour movie. I don't believe these people are that talented just because of the fact that like honestly, Star Wars, the first of the new gen, that was great.
Yeah.
Freaking love that. Rogue One, fantastic.
Yeah, amazing.
Freaking loved
Rogue One was bad.
I'm waiting for those types of movies. I'm not getting any of that. And let's put aside this for a moment. Put all of that aside because I can meet you. I'll meet you halfway.
Yeah.
I'll meet you halfway. Trilogy's not done. Maybe they pull it out of the fire.
Hopefully,
right?
I'm praying that it is.
I'll put money that they won't. I'll put money. I'll put a Naruto print on bet that they won't do it.
Okay,
they won't do it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
But
This guy's like, hey, you're taking this way too serious.
No. I take it seriously. I have a Star Wars hat.
I'll
put it up. Yo.
Yeah, here's the thing.
I put a Star Wars hat that says Naruto Prince.
Yeah. So here's the deal. The thing is that for any sci-fi franchise, I want them to do well. I freaking love sci-fi.
Yeah. Same.
Right. So like it's me being this upset about Star Wars comes from a point of like I wanted more. Like I wanted you to give me more.
I understand where like because a lot of people like paint the people who didn't like Last Jedi as like just haters or whatever, right? Which is not true. They're disgruntled fans.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Again, my thing is that like
look.
Yeah, exactly. I see that. I love that painting though. What a lot of people don't know is that like the original trilogy, right? That had 3 different directors and 3 different writers. There was no plan in it. And when you look at the Empire Strike Back reviews from when was it 1977, people actually didn't like it. They said it was dumb. They said, "Why is Darth Vader his dad? That makes no sense. What the hell?" Okay,
right.
The same thing. Years later, when the outrage passed and whatever, it's hailed as arguably the best Star Wars movie, right?
Yeah, that's right.
People just be mad at the moment. Okay? Also,
I think it's fun to be mad sometimes.
yeah, it is. It is fun to be mad. People like it. Okay, like with Game of Thrones, right? People love that, yo. Okay?
That was final season was shit though.
It was. But people,
you see the actors, they were like they're interviewing actors. They're like, so you just finished, you just wrapped up the final season. How do you think that the audience will see? Well,
yeah, it's Emilia Clarke, right?
Even Peter Dinklage didn't look. They look so non-committal in their answers.
Yeah. I feel like with Star Wars is that like I say a lot of people assuming that there was no like plan or whatever, right? Yeah. JJ talked to Rian Johnson about what his plan was to get it approved. Okay. To be like, okay, so you're going to do that? All right. So I know what I'm going to do for the 3rd movie. Okay. He's been writing this. It's not like some kind of last minute reaction. Like, oh crap, we need to fix everything. Right. That's not really what's happening there. Disney and all that stuff, they be new. Okay. These are the same people who make the MCU. Yeah. Right. Who oversee that. So they're not like, I don't feel like they're dumb enough to where this isn't planned.
I hope.
I
also think that they just think that we're all stupid and we're done. We're gonna go buy it just the way I watch every Transformer movie. I knew it was shit.
There's nobody. There's nobody who knows even a crumb about Star Wars who doesn't think that people will hate you forever if you ruin their movie. Okay, just look at the prequel trilogy, man. Okay, like people hated on the creator of Star Wars. For ruining his own thing.
Yeah,
right? Like
that guy can't write though. That guy can't write.
That's the thing. There you go.
Sand is everywhere. It's coarse.
Yeah, it's coarse. And also, that's another point where people actually, unironically, me included, love the prequel trilogy.
Yeah,
they got over it. People are gonna get over this. They're acting like it's the end of the world. At the end of the day, if you truly love something, you'll find something to love about it. Right?
There's plenty to love about it.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Okay, so all this like hyper outrage of like they're calling like Rose Tico, like the character, like the Asian girl, worst character than Jar Jar Binks.
Well, no, you can't do that. You can't do that.
But no, people unironically they're saying this, man. I'm like, bro, like relax. Okay,
also, but like you wanted Rey and Finn, and then now you're getting
dude.
Where did she come out of anywhere?
I shipped Rey and Finn, so I was upset about that. Okay, again, I'm not out here saying that the movie's perfect.
Yeah,
it's not that.
All right, so let's pause this for a moment, just sort of like that. Yeah. I'm good. I think we found some.
Yeah, no, we got it. Yeah.
All right, the fight scenes,
fire.
No. Beautiful.
Fire.
Beautiful.
Fire.
What are you talking about? This is the same person that watches Tony Jaa, who watches Iko Uwais. You're telling me
that the fight against the Praetorian Guards was the second best Star Wars.
Yeah,
the red dudes?
Yeah, the red
was the second best Star Wars fight besides the Luke. Obi-Wan and Anakin.
When we're done recording,
I'm
gonna show you a fight breakdown of how bad that video was.
No. I saw that where it's like, like a blade disappears and a this, that, whatever.
It's so bad.
People, you guys can like a CGI puppet Yoda flipping out around Mace Windu. You guys can like a stiff Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader going,
Oh no, I didn't like any of that stuff.
So that's what I'm saying. Where I feel like people aren't keeping the same energy here.
No,
right? Because they can excuse all the other stuff.
My energy
but
is
they're just
any
hating
fight
on
movie.
this, man.
My
They're
energy
just
is
hating
any
on it.
sword movie.
This is the
Any
thing.
fight
If you don't
movie.
like the Star Wars, if you don't like the fights in this Star Wars movie, you can't like any of the Star Wars.
No.
fights.
Star Wars fighting
like,
has never been
been
the
good.
top.
Has
Has never been the cream of the
good.
crop.
That's
Has
what
never
I'm
been the cream of
saying.
the
So I
crop.
just accept
But
it
this
for what it
is
is, 'cause I
this
like it,
is
you know?
this
Like,
is probably
I don't have any standards.
This movie had probably some of the best. I still think the best is Episode 3.
Out of all the Star Wars
Obi-Wan
movies, it was
versus
one of the best,
Anakin.
second best.
You think so?
Yes.
Man,
Obi-Wan versus
You know what?
Anakin will
Here's the
always be
deal:
the
when you
best.
go on YouTube and you watch fan made video like fight scenes,
Yeah.
how is low budget YouTube
you know
videos
why?
are
Do
better?
you know why? It's because this, right? Those people in their like, you know, like have you seen the Darth Vader fan film?
Yeah.
That they had? Okay. People are raving like, oh my god, it's so good, it's better than The Last Jedi, it's this, whatever.
Yeah.
Two things. Number one, nobody expects anything from that movie.
Exactly.
Darth Vader in that movie stops like a million bullets at the same time.
Yeah.
If they just introduce that in the movie, people would be like, that breaks the whole Star Wars universe. Because that means Darth Vader's like impossibly powerful or whatever, right? But it just looks cool, so no one cares because it's a fan thing. Okay,
Yeah.
people don't keep the same like expectations and levels to make a Star Wars film.
Yeah.
Is literally impossible. Okay, to make an actual good Star Wars film that everyone is going to be pleased with,
Yeah.
it's impossible.
Yeah,
Right?
I
It's
agree
just
with you
what
on that.
levels of outrage you can tolerate.
Yeah.
You can tolerate. Okay,
Yeah.
with this thing, because even Episode 7.
Yeah.
People were hating on it, like my dad included, saying it's just Episode 4 all over again,
Right.
right? And that's one of the
I
more
was on board for
unanimously
that though,
loved thing.
because like what you're trying to do is you're trying to get a whole new generation of people to come into the Star Wars franchise, and the best way for you to do that is retell a classic story with new people, just do a little twist, but like give them somewhat of the similar thing, just to ease people into the franchise.
But see, here's the
On
thing.
board.
Here's the thing. Is that, again, because Star Wars spans so many generations, you're coming in from your own perspective. Where my dad was like, I watched Episode 4 in theaters. Why am I watching it again 30 years later? Right?
But
you know,
that one you have to give it up. You have to give it up.
there's so
Disney,
many things with this you
Disney
can
had
say.
to do.
Was The Last Jedi is saying that you have to give it up. Like the Canto Bight scene where they're racing through the casino, whatever.
Yeah.
Little kids love that, man.
Yeah.
Star Wars is for all ages. People need to remember that. Okay?
Yeah.
You can say,
Puppet
oh,
Yoda came back. Okay, Puppet Yoda.
Yeah, exactly. You can say the Praetorian Guard fight wasn't cool or was dumb or was whatever. Again, younger people watching that are like, this is so sick. The Anakin and Obi-Wan fight, they're spinning around their lightsabers.
They never touch
and
each
not
other.
touching each other for no reason.
They never touch each other.
Okay, that makes no sense. But
They're
people
ducking
love
things
it, yo.
that they don't even have to duck. The sword is already
Exactly,
over here.
But people love that. No one's
You know what?
complaining
When I
about
was
that,
young,
man.
I thought it was the Force that they didn't even touch each other. I thought they were fighting with the Force. Is how young I was.
Exactly, man.
You can get a better fight scene playing the video game of Star Wars, and then just like change up the angles.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the thing that bothered me the most. It's like it's like you have choreographers, fight choreographers, that will actually give you an awesome movie.
Yeah.
An awesome fight scene. Like when when Tony Jaa, when the stunt double doesn't block a kick, you know what happens to him? He gets kicked in the face.
Yeah.
Right? There's a concussion waiting for him if he doesn't block. I want that level.
That would be sick. That would be sick.
Okay, so
But
I can see where
it's
you're
a
coming from.
Disney
You're like,
action
you know
movie,
what? I'm
though.
just turning it up a little bit.
You're not gonna get that, man.
He tells you it's an action movie. He's like, it's a different genre altogether.
No, I mean, like,
It's
the thing
never
is
gonna
that-
be that.
Like,
Okay, look, you know what? When John Wick came onto the screen, right? That's one of the very first movies.
yo, let me tell you.
Let me learn you something real quick.
Wait. All right, so for the people who are listening, our audio cut out right when we were talking about a little bit of John Wick, but you were about to say, let me tell you something. All right, we're going to learn.
Here's the thing, right? Is that over the last, because it came out in 2017, right? Yeah. Last Jedi. Over the last 2 years, I've watched like countless YouTube videos on this, like, like the fan made videos and stuff like that, right? I've watched all those, the hate ones, the praise ones, whatever. And it's always just so interesting to me how when you have like big events in culture, right? When people like when to drop us big expectations or whatever, how like people's opinions can vary so much on one thing. Like some people will say it's the best thing ever. Some people will hate it. I actually, on the topic of John Wick, I watched John Wick 3 with my friend the other day.
Yeah.
And I was watching it. I was like, yo, this is sick, man. I love it, whatever.
Yeah.
This dude comes out. He's like, that was like the worst thing I've ever seen. Like the action was just like mind numbing and whatever. And then after we had a whole conversation about it, and I kind of convinced him to like it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But like, because I always had to tell him, I'm like, dude, we went to watch John Wick. Like, what were you expecting,
What
right?
you expect?
Like, you know, or like a well thought out plot line. Like, what? Okay, but yeah, it's just always interesting how like people come with expectations. So with Star Wars, you know, I had my super high hopes, and again, like I love the movie, but it's not without its flaws. And there were some scenes where I was like the Leia one where she's in space. I'm like, dude, what the hell is that?
Very
like,
Poppins.
it's very strange.
Just let her die in space.
You know, like I would actually be more happy if she died in space than for what happened, right?
Yeah.
But you know, it is what it is. But it's just like how I feel like it comes down to a kind of an outlook thing with people, where there are some people who genuinely I feel like actually like to be angry at things, right? Like let's say Game of Thrones, and some people who are trying to find enjoyment. And I don't think there's any way that's like particularly wrong way to look at it, because let's say the people who are expected to be angry, they're very critical thinkers. So they're not gonna like, you can't just pull some BS on them and expect them to like it because like whatever, right? Whereas someone like me, I'm always like benefit of the doubt, man. Oh, there's a missing saber in the fight with the Praetorian Guards in Last Jedi. Oh, whatever. I still like this. It's still cool. It doesn't ruin it for me, right?
Yeah.
And I'm always like, I'm more like a bright side kind of guy, right?
I think people, to your point, I think people are selective even on when they do that. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So like when I'm coming into Star Wars, I'm like, yo, you guys been doing this for 50 years. You need to be better at this. But I went to watch Hobbs and Shaw. No problems.
Exactly.
I'm like, you could do whatever you want on the screen. 2 thumbs up. I'm good. I've already bought it.
Bro, I watched a video on YouTube where some guy's like, he watched the Fast and Furious series for the first time because he's been ignoring it for like 10 years.
I would love it if this guy like sits down and dissects it like you. Like in a way like, you can't even go 0 to 60 that quick or something like.
And what he was saying was so true, where he's like, Fast and Furious is basically a live action anime because the way that the characters progress and the escalation is only Dragon Ball level,
Right.
Okay, like dude, he's like, if you remember at the beginning, Vin Diesel's character was just a dude who was kind of strong, right?
Right.
This dude dual wields wrenches in like the 7th movie and fights like
Couldn't
Jason
agree with you
Statham.
more.
No.
Exactly.
With metal rods, like what the hell?
When The Rock flexed so hard his cast broke off.
Yeah.
I'm like, he just went Super Saiyan. He just went Super Saiyan. That's what just happened right there.
The only one was Paul Walker, who is an FBI agent. He should be the only one who knows how to handle a gun and fight properly. Ludacris becomes
He goes from a guy
tech agent who can hack into the FBI, and the dude was just like a trash engineer in like the second movie. Like, bro, okay,
This is a
it's crazy.
mechanic. This is a mechanic with overalls, like
And
like
faux
setting up a
sideburns.
race on a bridge that goes like this. That was where he was.
See, now that's a movie that's an exact example of giving the people what they want to see. Let's just like add a bit of roids every movie instead of trying to keep it realistic.
Did you hear one of the directors said something like, they were talking, it was like, where do you take Fast and Furious next? And he's like, well, you know, space is not out of the question.
I bet you do. They're gonna do an Armageddon version. There's gonna be a rock coming, and the president's gonna be like,
we need a team.
"It's like get Toretto." That's exactly what like the president would say. And Toretto would be like, "I'm retired,"
And I'm sitting there going, I'm good. I'm eating all of it. This is all good.
Yeah, and it's so hilarious how like that franchise has been going on for like
Ever.
over a decade.
Yo, you
right?
weren't even born. Were you born?
I'm 98,
You weren't
so
born.
he wasn't.
I was-
he was
wait,
I think he was like just
2001.
a tiny baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy how like that's been going for so long, and it's just the way that they've conditioned their fans and what to expect. Is people don't care, yo.
Yeah.
People.
But I feel like with Star Wars, it's they didn't even condition their fans in this hyper
That's the thing.
analytic way. It's just how it just
That's
happened,
such an
and I don't know
interesting thing.
why it happened.
Nerds.
Nerds, man. The
Nerds will
interesting
sit
thing
down.
with Star Wars is that even though technically it's all one franchise, the 3 trilogies are like so wildly different.
Yeah.
And the books and the video games or whatever, it's like there's nothing kind of like this where how expansive it is on like the different mediums that people use to tell one story.
Yeah, a little closer to
right?
the mic, yeah.
So like with let's say Luke Skywalker, how people are mad about how he was a hermit and this, that, whatever. One of the main reasons why they're mad about that was because there was a book series called Star Wars Legends Now that went on for like I guess like 20 years or something after episode 6, talking about what he did after Return of the Jedi, right? And in that he gets married to some hot redhead and it's like a super powerful Jedi and he's all so like super cool and perfect or whatever. So that's the expectation people had, right? And then all of a sudden to see him be like basically another Yoda and be like super jaded and like drink like, what was that, like space cow milk or whatever that was?
Oh
the
my
green
God.
milk.
It's like, it was bad enough that he was
yo.
drinking it, but why did he have to drink it so messily? You know, it's
My
like
man
just
don't
take a
care,
sip.
yo.
He's just like, it's just going all over the place, and it's green.
Yeah.
It really bothered me.
No, that gave me anxiety, man. Like, it was
bothered,
like
like,
aired or
everyone.
whatever, man. That was wild.
I think the expectations thing is a really strange thing, and I don't think that always existed. Even like whatever thing is coming out, even with Avengers, I saw it with a buddy, and he was like, didn't like it. And when I tried to get to what he didn't like, it was just all around, well, there was too much hype and stuff. Yeah. And you have this with like every genre of movie or every type of entertainment too, whether it's like the Dave Chappelle special or Chance the Rapper music, which you were gonna, I know we talked about for like a few seconds before we realized you weren't on air.
No, yeah.
But expectations with today's, I don't know. You can't make everybody happy, and the people you don't make happy are the loudest.
Yeah.
They're and more than anything, what I notice is that we want people to give us more content, but we don't want them to develop as artists. Whether it's Dave trying, I don't know, old OJ jokes from the past, or like Lupe Fiasco, who I used to, like, I love Lupe, and then he came out with the Lasers album. What was that called?
Lasers. It was
Lasers, perfect. Thanks. And people hated it. They were like, I don't like it. I like Food and Liquor. I like that thing. Yeah. But when people expand to like what's in their repertoire, whether it's the Arctic Monkeys, I know that's rock, but like they had a very specific punk type of sound, and then they started experimenting. And some people go with you, and some people are like, you've sold out by growing.
What's so funny about like the Lupe Fiasco thing is that the Lasers albums will actually introduce us to him.
That's my favorite Lupe album.
The show goes on is the first Lupe song we heard, right? So like, it's hilarious how like even though you may lose certain fans in one project, you gain like a whole new set.
The New Danger with Mos Def, that was like that guy stepped away.
But like, I feel like with expectations and the reason why that you're saying it wasn't really around before and stuff like that, I feel like that is because of the internet. And social media, hype builds a lot faster
and it's
for
like
things.
A megaphone for people who like don't like things
to just yell, right? So like a lot of people just talk about one thing, and then the hype will build, and the hype will build, and the hype will build to the point where it's unrealistic expectations, and then if whatever that thing doesn't meet that expectations, people just hate on it because it's fun to make fun of people and fun to hate on things and stuff like that.
When people are angry and hating on something, it's fun to listen to them. Like if you ever listen to Stephen A. Smith.
Oh my god.
That guy will rant, and you're like, I'm just getting sweaty listening to you rant.
The Knicks, man.
You see that meme? It's just him, like his hand against the window looking outside.
And like the whole thing with social media and like being like a megaphone and stuff. Again, like if you go back to Star Wars, where with episode 5, like Empire Strikes Back, the whole plot twist is so beloved among Star Wars fans or whatever. The reviews amongst critics were good, but fans didn't like it, right? And people just forgot about that because there was no actual like full forum for people to express their distaste, right?
For all eternity.
Like, forever, right? You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that 2 years later, people are still out here making think pieces on The Last Jedi and why this is the worst movie in cinematic history. Okay. Like it's so interesting. And same thing with music, where with like the Chance the Rapper thing, the guy, like, he puts out his album. I'm a big Chance the Rapper fan. I was a little underwhelmed by it, but I thought it was pretty, like, it was okay, right? This dude got like memed.
Man, I haven't
listened. And when you get memed, that's forever. Oh, you're done. Like, you're never gonna get rid of that, man. Okay, like that's it, yo. And it's just like, unless you're like, the only person who's immune to meme is Drake, because he uses it and it only makes him stronger. Like the Hotline Bling meme thing would have ruined anybody, okay? But the dude's still out here, right? And so like with Chance the Rapper is that you have like kind of two ways to go, where either you try to embrace it and then like lean into the joke, but people are like, you're still mad, get out of here or whatever. Or like you get off social media entirely, but then you're losing such a valuable tool for yourself to still promote, because the guy still has a tour coming in, whatever. Like you can't just dip off Twitter for no reason, right? So it's just like, it's a weird kind of trap like people put you in.
That's true. I think it's all, I mean, those are two extremes of sort of like reacting to like hate or whatever that, because like a lot of times, specifically, I don't think comparing music to like franchises is like as accurate, just because like for franchises you need to deliver to some degree what people want to see, and then also you have to deal with the whole, like specifically with art, with visual art, there is such a thing as an objectively bad movie, an objectively bad story development. We all watch anime. We know what good character development is because we're spoiled with anime. Anime gives us character development that's on a level that no one else gets, right? And so, yeah, I always wanted to get something like that in a show or a TV show or a movie or whatnot, but you're never gonna get Japanese.
You never
character
do, man.
development, right? But that's the way that's just the way how it goes. If you want that level, if you want to feel about that, you go to anime. But with regards to like, with regards to music, though, you know, it's much more of a personal project. Right. This is coming from your soul, and this is what you feeling at the current time.
Exactly.
And so the thing is that like you can't like to some, obviously you want fans to like it.
Yeah.
But it's also this is how your DNA is speaking during this time when you're putting it together. And so like I feel like you got to do the rope-a-dope, and then you know because like you know Childish Gambino released that, what was it, the Redbone album.
I would give my love. Yeah.
I am die-hard Childish Gambino fan. I only like 2 songs on that album.
Same, yeah.
You know, I mean,
it took me a while to like it.
And it's and it might have been I could have, you know, it even might grow on me over the time.
Yeah.
But like that's what he needed to do, and then specifically for music, I respect the swing.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to do a gospel Bible like album.
Yeah.
So
He's an artist.
All powers to him. So yeah, I mean, you know, he got plenty of hate with regards to that as well. But I feel like, you know, to some degree.
I mean, one thing that's also interesting to me is like in movies where, let's say, Hayden Christensen, the guy who plays Anakin, right? Mm-hmm. It's like universally agreed that the acting in that movie was bad, right? And the writing. But the thing is that the Star Wars fans still love him as a person, right? And it's so interesting how, like, in movies, you can kind of separate the actor and their script and whatever from the human, right? Yeah. But with music, like with Chance the Rapper, the dude's not really acting. Like, that's him, right? So when you say, dude, your bars are so corny, they hate your voice, your delivery, whatever, like, that's you. And it hits you on such a, like, so more personal level, right? Like,
because that's your creative expression.
Yeah.
When you're a bad actor, here, listen, there's a lot of things that go into becoming an actor. This is not your prime example of who you are. But as a musician, or honestly, like, as a comedian, when somebody says, like, when you go to like an open mic and somebody's playing the guitar and they're not very good, you can say like, all right, they might get better. But when you're a comedian, you tell like a few people like, hey, you aren't funny. You're like, ouch. You're like, I'll think about that for a week.
Yeah. I will never, ever, you won't catch me doing stand-up comedy, man. Okay? I get nightmares of having to tell jokes in front of people and whatever. Like when I watch these comedy specials, I watch a Dave Chappelle one and be like, man, I'm funny. I can be funny. I can be funny too. Okay. Then I think of like, hey, what jokes would I want to tell, right? I just think like of like 5 of them, whatever, blah, blah. And then I just start thinking, I think they're funny, but then what if people don't think they're funny? Mm-hmm. And with comedy, why it's so brutal is that when you're like, let's say when you're doing music, really only until the song ends is when it's either a big chair or a not so chair or whatever. But people are generally like, you know, like clap, 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 whatever, like that, right? You can tell if they didn't really like it, but they're nice, right? Yeah. With comedy, man, when you're in the middle of your set and you tell a joke and it bombs, there's no music, there's no band, there's nothing.
It's just you
it's
and a bunch of people staring
on
at
your
you.
horse.
You just gotta throw up some ad
The mental strength, bro, is insane.
I will tell you about the first stand-up set I think I ever did in front of more than one person.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, Yassine came to that show.
Nice.
And it was, right? You would think so.
Yeah.
And then you get up on their stage, and it's not a lot of people, but like, what, 4 or 5 people in the room? Yeah. And it's my first time. This stuff isn't really well written. And I step on my wire, and it comes out, and I don't know how to put it back in. So I'm just talking really loudly about
one
my
hand
jokes.
holding the mic, the other hand holding the wire.
I'm still holding the mic. And while I'm telling now a joke about a giraffe documentary I saw.
Which hit me good.
Yeah, Yassine was still on board. While I'm doing that, in the back of my mind, I'm very consciously thinking, you know what? If this is as bad as it gets, it's not that bad. Because this is probably really bad, because it's feeling really bad. But this is not as bad as I thought. But I will say this, just like you finish a song and somehow like really resonated with that time, that crowd.
Yeah.
When you're getting that constant feedback of laughter, even though right now you might be like, it would feel horrible to stand up, the payback you get all throughout. High, right? It's, I don't know if there's anything like it. Maybe like a preacher, you know, where you're just making people pass out just by saying things. Like, just literally, just putting the people out, you know, just by like, boom, and people fall. You're like, dude, I'm a magician right now. But I bet you, if you did some stand up and you like even recorded those bombs and stuff and improved on it, you probably like it. It'd be just another way to express yourself. on top of your music as well?
I mean, when we're on stage, like in between songs, like I'll tell jokes sometimes,
Yeah.
and I get a little bit of laugh. I'm like, "Ooh, okay." I like that. Okay, but
Well, that's your opportunity to workshop a couple of jokes real quick. If they don't land, you'd be like, all right, next song.
yo, man,
Easy.
Muslim Fest is coming up. That's like 20,000 people.
Yo.
We're like headlining.
Yo, listen, this is what we do.
Give me some jokes, bro.
Yeah, you go ahead and practice your music, and we figure out, all right, what are the fun things we can say in the middle of this?
Yeah.
And you really we should try this. We should have
Yeah,
a mashup.
they can help you workshop ideas.
Oh yeah, totally, dude,
Yeah.
totally. I
We
think
have
it'd
like
be
a comedy
something.
music set. That'd be actually so dope.
You know, like Mustaqeem, those guys are hilarious. You know, like that's what people are gonna be.
They're
saying.
also musicians, but we remember the jokes.
Yeah, man. Those comedy musicians, those guys.
Speaking of, what's the name of the new project?
Oh yeah, we gotta get to that.
Yes, our new album coming up, inshallah, at the end of August is titled JAMTEM, which stands for Just Allow Me to Express Myself, which
Acronym
is
alert.
which is
Who
our
named
slogan.
What did I come up with?
It's
Well,
a cool name, man.
we named the album, but the JAMTEM thing has just been something we've been saying for what, like 5 years now.
Yeah.
I think it's our dad,
Or older brothers.
Okay.
one of them that
It's been a
fully came up with
When's this coming out?
with the acronym.
Actually, when this podcast releases, it will already be released.
Ooh.
Right?
Oh,
This-
singles.
The singles. We'll have 2 singles out.
Okay, 2 singles
that
will be out.
should be out when this podcast releases. Yes,
Okay.
but the actual
Spotify.
album will be out
Like
a
August
week
30th,
after.
pretty much.
Yeah.
A little later, yeah.
And yeah, with this album, we've been trying and experimenting with a lot of different genres and like all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, because this album's like real just self-expression. So like whatever we're feeling, whatever day
Right.
we were feeling at the time, we made that kind of music.
Okay.
Because we listen to a lot of different types of music, or he listens to a lot of different types of music. I listen to a few different things, but
Decent range.
yeah. So we have like R&B, trap, hip hop, dancehall, pop,
Afrobeat.
rock, Afrobeat, and like just a lot of different things
Yeah.
that you can imagine, and a lot of fusions and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah.
So this is a very, very much a departure from the last
Yes.
project.
Yeah, so like there's like multiple different ways. So, you know, number one, when we kind of started off, we were like a vocals only / acapella group or whatever.
No instruments. Halal.
Yeah.
Certified halal.
Zabiha.
So now like we are using instruments in these songs. And it's interesting because like we're anticipating getting a lot of questions as to why did you make the switch, because usually how it goes is that you go off of the minhaj, as people like to say, and going into like music, whatever, comes with, you know, especially with hip hop, there's such a stigma with it where like now it's drugs and girls
gangsters
and this
now.
and yeah, you know, all
Yeah,
that
you're
stuff.
using guitars now. Look at you.
Yeah, exactly.
Sinner.
And it's like
Someone like the Peel Police.
yeah, but no, but the thing for us is like what we've always been saying in interviews, like from the start, is that it was never actually our personal opinion with like the no instrument things. Like we never really believed in that. Our family's been listening to music for like so long, and it's always funny how people get shocked by that, because I'm like, how do you think we make it if we didn't listen to it
In the first place.
like
dude,
before, right? Like,
just
can't be a
came into
filmmaker
our
if you never
brain.
saw a movie, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know. But yeah, so, and also one of the reasons why we switched was that the amount of time it takes to make vocals only stuff. Like I'm pretty sure I said this last time we were here. It's super long, and it's like twice as long as making a song with just instruments or whatever. And the feedback that we were getting was always still a little bit negative from people, where they didn't believe. Like it's almost like we were a little.
You were too good at it.
We were too good at it. Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but like we were a little too good at it.
It just sounded, honestly, when I listen to some of the songs, I'm like, I can't tell the difference.
Exactly.
I'm
Right?
not hearing a. I'm not saying I'm hearing nothing.
Yeah,
It
so
sounds
then,
like real music.
We'd always get comments of people saying like, you know, this is basically music. I don't know what you guys are doing. La 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 la, all that stuff. It got kind of annoying. On top of that, the that specific community that kind of listens to that is probably like a quarter of our fan base, maybe even less, and like they're not the most receptive when it comes to music in the first place. Like they're not really there at like the big concerts and this and that, because the places we perform, other people are using music as well.
Yeah.
So like they just, you know, and so like I'm always like, you know, we're always like, you know, we respect like like whatever beliefs people have or whatever, but it's just the industry that we're in, it's really not that practical to kind of do that. And we've been doing that for 6 years. So we're trying to try something new. You know, I'm not completely opposed against the idea of like us going back and making some more vocals only stuff or whatever. But like, you know, you gotta shake it up once in a while and stuff. Yeah. And the other thing too, like, you know, I'm just going in right now. But with that same kind of thing and the issues that we've kind of faced, a lot of Muslim artists kind of deal with this, is that the people who you're catering to and just talking to in this like specific medium that we're using, they're not the most educated on it. So when they ask you, brother, what's in your song? And I say, okay, well, we've been using this vocal processing called Exhale, and we do a lot of chops, and we have this effects, EQ, la la la, whatever. They don't know what that means because they don't listen to music in the first place. So they're like, well, it's still haram. And I'm like, you don't even know what I just told you. So it's like the analogy where like you're dealing with vegans. You have a shop where you're selling a what do they call it? What's the Tim Hortons one? Almost
the Beyond Beef.
Beyond Beef thing, right?
Beyond Beef.
So then a vegan will come into your store and ask you, yo, what's in it? And you say, it's quinoa, it's beans, it's this, it's that, la, la, la. And they know, and they're educated enough to be like, this is what I can eat, this is what I can't eat. And they'll make the decision for themselves, right? Imagine if somebody just came in and they're like, okay, I don't eat meat. What do you got for me? And you're like, well, I have this, that it tastes like meat and almost as meat, and has this, that. But they don't even know if they can eat it or not.
Right.
And they're not even that. They don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Right? So like,
They're like, it's close enough to meat to me. I don't think I'm eating this.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, okay, fam, like, then why are you here? Right? Like, and then you spend so much time trying to make it as much like meat as possible so they have as much enjoyment out of it as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they can't.
And they still reject it. And I'm like, bro, I could just be doing the other thing that, like, you know, so
For sure.
it gets a little frustrating. But yeah, so we're kind of off that right now. Also, another thing too with this album is kind of different is lyrically, we're trying to shy away and stay away from the typical Muslim artist songs.
Thank
so
God.
you know, like your
What do you mean?
So like your Eid song, your Ramadan song,
I
your
got it.
Prophet
song.
song,
Yeah.
your song about your mother, your song about whatever else there is, the typical, your Palestine
At this point,
song.
it's like Salah, Zakah, Siyam, Hajj.
Yeah, it's like, you know, and
Just go through the 5 pillars.
the thing is with us is that like growing up, we listened to both mainstream music and like nasheeds and stuff like that, and most of the time the nasheeds weren't as appealing.
Of course.
And I always figured like, why is that, right? Number one is that like, you know, the artists don't have as much resources. Like it's not a multi-billion-dollar industry, the nasheed thing or whatever. But another thing too is that they always kind of expected that just because they're Muslim and you're Muslim, you're going to listen to it anyway, right? They don't have to actually try that hard into making anything like that you have to think about. So they'll just be there in their song like, God is the greatest, la 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 la, we love God, you love God, la 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 la. And I'm like, okay, man, that's cool when I'm 5. But then when I'm growing up, you know, you want something that'll like make you think a little bit more. And on top of that,
You want a story to tell. You want to be able to tell.
yeah, and then on top of that, they really aren't. A lot of the nasheed artists aren't out here trying to be relatable, right? So with us, the reason why we don't even go by nasheed artists anymore, we go by artists, and then we're Muslim, and it's not like we hide that fact or anything like that, right? And the thing is with us is that our philosophy is like, we are young Muslims, black, in a city in Toronto, whatever. We have a bunch of experiences, and there are others who are like us, right? So whatever we choose to talk about, we know that they'll relate, right? We don't have to come out with some kind of agenda saying I need to hit this, that point, right? Because it's required of me in my industry to like do that. It's like if you come out and you say you're a Christmas singer, right? And you only talk about Christmas, like that's only relevant like one day a year, and then that's it, right? Like, you know. And so with us, it's more, that's why we called it JAMTEM, is that it's self-expression, right? And a lot of people in the Muslim community kind of avoid that, because with self-expression, you have to talk about some things that might be uncomfortable. And for some reason, when it comes to music, no one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear anything that's real, right? So if you make a song about your experiences with drug use, right? Not that we have experience with that, but like, as an example, you make a song about that, and people will be like, I don't want my kids listening to that. But you'll also let your kids listen to a khutbah about the same thing. But because it's music and you're talking about a certain thing, you don't want to hear that. But then them listening to the same song about Allah or the Prophet that doesn't even go like it's not in depth,
Yeah.
right? This isn't like some like the Seder of the Prophet or whatever. It's the basic stuff over and over again, right? And you let them listen to that, they're not benefiting from that. And on top of that, the kind of image that they associate with that artistically is that it's corny. It's always corny. Like religion is like corny in music 100% of the time, right?
It's not a good medium to actually even.
Yeah, it's like people they don't want to hear you talk about God, man. It's like, get out of here. Because like it's just like every single time when people do it, I don't know why, but their delivery, they always have to water it down. So if you're making a hip hop song or a trap song and you're talking about whatever you're talking about, you have to water it down for whatever reason. I don't know why that's the case. And on top of that too, like with the whole Nasheed artist thing, because there's certain things they expect you to talk about, if you don't talk about those things, it's haram for some reason.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, if I make a song about a tree, that's not particularly Islamic. It's not religious. Is it bad though? Like it's a tree. Like it's like if you make a painting on a tree, it's still art, right? It's about your intention and what you're trying to put out into the world and all that stuff, right? And so people will listen to our new music. I can tell this might happen, and they won't explicitly hear the typical Islamic buzzwords there. And then they'll think, well, they're not Nasheed artists anymore, or they're not Muslim artists anymore. Right. But I'm like, if you just pay extra attention and listen to the lyrics, it's still the same values. It just sounds better and it makes you think, right? And that's it. And so with us, like, we're also aiming to get, let's say, non-religious or non-Muslim people to still vibe with our music, right? Like, we want it to be like accessible to everybody. And you do that by kind of coming in with the intention that you're trying to have everybody listen to it. So if you're doing a song that's so explicitly about, like, let's say the Prophet, and it's like half of it's in Arabic, okay, and then another one's in Urdu or something like that, like,
no one's gonna
listen to that, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then you can't complain when you don't get big in North America. Like, this is where you're at. You know what I'm saying? On top of that, with us, we're black, yo. Okay, so we can't be out here catering to like the Arab or Pakistani Indian communities, whatever, because they don't even accept us half the time anyway, right? And so when we come out with our culture, which is hip hop, R&B, and stuff like that, and we're not saying anything bad, quote unquote bad or whatever, they're still like, yeah, but I don't know, it just doesn't seem Islamic to me.
Right, it's not halal.
But if I was making belly dancing sounding music, which is like, and singing in Arabic or whatever, talking about the exact same thing,
right,
they'll be like, that's cool, because look at Maher Zain, man. Maher Zain, you could twerk to a Maher Zain song, okay? You can belly dance to a Maher Zain song if you want to. Straight up, okay? Those wedding songs, man, they're danceable, okay? But it's Arab, it's Arab, man. It's Arab and whatever, and that's the norm. It's visibly Muslim, right? And that's what it is. So when we pull up to whatever places and we're performing, straight up talking about God, I have dreads on my head. They ask us, so are you guys a Muslim group? I'm like, fam, I just spent 30 minutes, like, this is back in the day too when we were like even more explicitly Muslim. I spent 30 minutes upstage saying some Mawlaya Salli or whatever, okay? And you're gonna ask me if I'm Muslim, or then better yet, they'll be like, oh, are you a convert or something? And I'm like, you live in North America, fam. Black Muslims are a thing, just so you know, like, it's it's a lot of nonsense you kind of have to deal with and whatever, but
fair,
it is what it is.
But that being said, this is what your DNA is speaking to you at the time, and now you've made an album that's completely different, or very different from not completely, but very different. It's sonically, that is, right? But as far as the values are concerned,
it's the same. It's the same with people, right? A lot of people don't like aesthetic changes because they think that it changes everything, right? So it's like if you change the surface of it and it's a new coat of paint or whatever, it's like it's a completely different vehicle. Yeah. So just because the music sounds better, it's a different genre, it's not the same values. It can be, because people don't do that, right? It's interesting.
Is it like the evolution of your music? Is it now more exciting for you that this album's gonna be coming out, and you're like, all right, how is this gonna be perceived, negative or positive? Just more exciting compared to like previous releases that you've had?
Yeah. I feel like with previous releases, like, obviously we were a lot younger back then. How long was it? Like 3 years ago? Yeah. When we dropped our first EP as a duo. Like, obviously we're making music, so we like the music we're making and stuff like that. But like, back then we could kind of tell it wasn't at that level per se. Like, as something you'd listen to like on the radio or something like that, right?
No one's listening to it, be like, yo, this shit slaps.
Exactly. like sometimes we get a few people that come and be like, yeah, I love your song, I listen to it all the time. Like, I have it on my playlist just as good as all the other songs. And we're just like, really? Like okay. Yeah. But now with this one, we genuinely feel like this is it.
Yeah.
Like
this is gonna make some rotations in people's playlists.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like what's interesting about that kind of evolution is like what I was saying, where in the last album, when I'd go to school or whatever, and then the topic would come up on music, and then they'd be like, "Oh, Jibreel, like, don't you make music or whatever?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, like, you know, I'm a singer or whatever." Like, "Oh, let me hear something."
Yeah.
Especially after like my non-Muslim friends, whatever, I'd be like really nervous to show it to them because I'm like, they're gonna think it's corny. No, okay, like whatever. And like alhamdulillah, now like this new music, I'll show it to anybody.
Yeah.
Like if Drake walks in, I'll be like, "Hey yo, check this out!" Like that.
Drake.
It's like
He's just waiting for Drake to show up.
He literally is. This guy dreams about Drake just walking into our studio one day. And
You
like,
know, if Drake just shows up, you're gonna like bother the crap out of him. Like, listen, Drake. I've got a
yo,
song
just
for
listen to
you."
my EP, man. I promise this is he. I
Hey yo, God's
promise I'm
plan.
next
Let's make a
up.
Law's plan, man. Yeah.
I promise I'm next up, bro.
He borrows a couple words from our culture. You know, inshallah,
exactly,
a couple
bro.
No, the man said wallahi one time.
Wallahi,
He knows
there
what
you
he
go.
wanted. Okay. But nah, yeah. So it's very interesting, like where, you know, like again, like what I was saying, where we still liked the music, you're still proud of it, but we're self-aware. Like we know when it meets standards and not and stuff, and I feel like it's good that we're finally at a place where we can have full confidence in it. And it's also interesting that, like, you know, like we have our friends and whatever, and like how they would kind of act around us back in the day when we weren't the coolest people. Okay. And when it's a performance or it's a this or it's a that, and like, oh, like we put our songs, like, oh, can you share it, can you whatever. And it's always like either they wouldn't do it or there's a hesitation because again, it's not the coolest thing in the world. Like our first music video for Clouds, great production and whatever, but like, fam, there's some cheesy parts in there, man. Bilal like slow motion throws a marker or whatever it was or something, and it's like, looking back on it, I kind of understand why people didn't want to share or whatever, or didn't really want to be like that associated with us. But I mean, to me, what I find, especially like, you know, with our generation and like social media and whatever, is that it kind of sucks that people never want to associate with you until there's something you can offer them. So now, you know, I got my dreads and we're cool, quote unquote. Yeah. Okay. Now they want to hang out with us, right? When we're in, like, they're our friends or whatever. But when we're in artist mode, it's like, okay, can you do that over there?
Yeah.
And whatever. And then after they'll be like, yeah, it's cool, whatever. But you can tell, man, it's a little like, they're a little embarrassed by it or whatever. It's like, let's say if you start up in a film career and your first short film is kind of whack, and you're like, you ask your friends like, yo,
watch it.
Come to the theater and watch it, or better yet, do you want to act in it? Yeah. And they'll be like, "Oh, dude, I don't know. Maybe next time y'all be safe over here." Like, y'all be safe over here. It's the same thing. Like a couple years ago, when we were doing a music video, we were trying to get people to come in it, right? And needless to say, nobody showed up.
Not nobody.
Well,
don't diss the people that showed up, man.
No, there was one person who, I'm saying last year for the Paradise video.
Yeah.
Nobody showed up for that one.
I thought you were talking about the one we just filmed.
We did it
like
this year. We did it again this year, and a lot more people showed up compared to then. But even still, you can kind of tell that if this was, let's say, a music video for a single that would come out a couple months after the album dropped, we probably would get more people. Right? It's just that, again, you need to prove yourself always. And it kind of sucks because, like, it's people that you know, but you still need to prove yourself to them, right? And, like, kind of the way I see it is that, like, if I'm performing it somewhere and my family and friends are there, I hate it. Okay? Like, it's the worst because you can kind of tell that they get secondhand embarrassment if things aren't going that well. Right? And they're like, oh, no, like head down, whatever. The other people in the audience are like, yeah, man, good job. And they're like, it's because they have to, like, be with you afterwards, and they're a little bit more invested and stuff. And
they like, gotta talk to you afterwards.
Exactly, right? Like when you see somebody like at a comedy show, when you see the comic like just bomb on stage or whatever, you're not gonna see that dude again in like maybe a couple.
You're not gonna drive him home.
Exactly, but then if you're the friend in the crowd, you know sometimes how much it means to him or whatever, and it just makes it like 10 times more awkward. And then on top of that, from the performer perspective, you want to impress them like so much. Like there's a time where like like our entire family was there, grandparents, uncles, aunts, whatever.
Oh boy.
And yo, that was like so nerve-wracking only because they were there. And I was almost getting to the part where I'm like, can you guys leave? Like just for my mental health, can you guys just like go out the door and then come back in after and act like you were there or whatever?
Yeah.
Like no hard feelings, you know what I'm saying? Like yeah, it's weird.
That would be hilarious on the mic where he's like, all right, you guys.
But this thing isn't, this is a story as old as music
definitely.
is, right? No one
Definitely.
wants to mess with you when you're not popping. When you're popping,
Exactly.
people they're gonna find out, be like, hey, what's going on? How you doing? That type of thing.
I
What
was
people
just
don't
wondering
realize
why-
is
Oh,
that you need to start somewhere
Yeah.
to get somewhere.
The real ones show up
Exactly.
when you're not popping. When you're they're the ones over there going, I believe the potential. Or I just
Exactly.
believe your happiness, really.
Yeah,
Sometimes
like-
that's all you really want is
true.
I believe that the happiness. I've told this story before a couple of times. I took pictures for the first Mist in 2008. My pictures are garbage.
Well,
But yeah,
he's just like, well, back then, or like,
Okay, fine.
I think that was one of your first like non-wedding kind of things.
no, I hadn't even shot weddings up until then.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was my first
Jeez.
one ever, and I remember specifically one friend. This was like Facebook's still newish back
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
Liked every single picture individually, and then try to find a comment for each one.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that motivated me to do. I became a wedding photographer, particularly just because of the blind love of a friend.
Yeah.
And then that means so much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, I always remembered her doing that, and then realizing that, I can be that for other people.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit if it doesn't work out? If
Exactly.
I don't matter. It's like, yo, you like this? All right, cool.
Go
It's
ahead.
Like, when Say went up on things like, yo, you like this? That's cool. Also, the giraffe joke was freaking amazing. I still tell it every once in a while. Well, what I mean to say is that, yeah, it sucks. But the thing is that quality of human is so rare to begin with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that, inshallah, as time goes on, inshallah, the project is a success. It's gotta be. If it's music that we're listening to right now,
Yeah.
it's closer to what it is, then of
Yeah.
course, but you're gonna get more and more people who are gonna want to be with you.
Yeah.
Gonna be around your circles, be in your orbit, that type of thing. But you just gotta remember, when you weren't popping, who were the people around?
And those
are the real ones.
That's the crazy thing, because I have a very good memory. Okay. Like a really good memory. So there's no way somebody could come up a year later or whatever and be like, hey man, remember me? We used to go to Mist together or something like that. La, la. And I'll be like, dude, I don't know you, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Or I don't know you like that. And it's always, I feel like it comes from a place of almost insecurity for people when they don't want to be associated with something that's kind of embarrassing. or
How
whatever.
does it make me look? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I've always found it so interesting because, especially with social media, it's basically your brand and your image. So if something's on there or whatever, you're tagged in something that isn't the coolest, it ruins it, right? And everybody's just so obsessed with their image and their brand and their whatever, right? And personally, not to be I'm not like other kids kind of not like that, but I don't understand why people kind of take that stuff so seriously, because my whole thing is that if you're cool, anything can happen to you and you'll brush it off and you'll be fine, right? So let's say Drake is a good example where this dude's technically acting tough in most of his music videos, right? But then he got memed while doing the most ridiculous dances, and the dude's still cool out here, right? It's because if you act like oh, I hope no one saw that, right? And you act like it affects you, that's when we know you're insecure, right? So for
People
me,
lean into it.
Yeah, if somebody asked me to go on stage and let's say at Muslim Fest, right? We're gonna do a children's concert the day before we perform. So performing Sunday, on Saturday we're doing a children's concert. Most people in a situation would kind of be like, well, it's a children's concert. It's like the Wiggles or something. You don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? But who cares, man? Mustaqeem is for the kids too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's you can still do that and then go and kill it with your own music on stage the next day, right? It's just really how you choose to present yourself. And that's why I will never understand why people try to cultivate this image of being super serious or edgy or anything like that, because that's when you have something to lose. You have to do whatever it is in your power to maintain that image at all times. The moment that gets cracked, then the whole facade is ruined, and then your career or whatever it is just done, right? And so they worry so much, oh, I can't collaborate with you, I can't be here, I can't do this, whatever, because it might ruin my image. But I'm like, so you're just gonna deny yourself whatever experience is just because, you know, it might ruin your image. You can't show up at this place, can't do whatever.
Gonna deny yourself that bread just because of your image,
you know what I'm
man.
saying? Like it's interesting, man. I don't really understand why people do that too much. Yeah.
All right, you hold on to this. You remember everything, right? And then release, hit them up. Let them know. Go through the list. Go through the list.
No, the thing is, like,
that's why I didn't eat your biryani, you fat.
Like, but the team's changed.
No, the thing is, like, with us is that it's not. We haven't really had any kind of haters necessarily. Like maybe like one or two outright hate comments, whatever. Someone called me a horse face one time. It is what it is.
Was it you or was it me?
It was horse face. They just said you couldn't rap for.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Well,
Yo,
they were kind of right, bro. They were kind of right.
This guy knows everything.
did they lie?
Not really. I was kind of
I
like
don't know.
rhythmically challenged when I first started. So like,
Yo, man, everyone's got a ground floor.
Yeah,
it's true.
But not like for us. It's just more like. So it's not anything with like, oh, the people who were against us and the haters. Because come on, most people don't have haters, man. It's not that serious. Like
That's true.
No one cares about you enough at this level to hate you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, you're kind of whack. I'm just gonna ignore you. Like that's what it is. It's more like you want to remember the people who actively helped you out.
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing. Where for us, like, you know, inshallah, if we ever get like big and whatever, we remember all the people, like you guys included, who put us on their shows or their podcasts or collabed with us when we had like under 1,000 followers. Okay. So it would be like nothing for me now to then want to share things or do this or do whatever. Cause like you gotta, you know, spread the love, right? Like we remember our first Muslim Fest. Zayn Bika and Dad Warrensby and Native D and whatever, they got us on stage to perform with them. And they just met us that day and we were some random kids. And that kind of like really helped us like launch our career and stuff. And, you know, we would love to do that for other people. Because it's like, it's so easy. It's so easy to kind of just spark someone's whole career off of a share. Right? Like, what's the example? Like Drake does that like all the time where he'll like share somebody or like collab with them on a song and they're kind of unknown. And then bang. They blow
them up.
And it's
Lil
so great to
Baby,
see that, man. Blockboy
JB, both of them just came out of nowhere just because
Yeah.
And you know who's been doing that? Will Smith on Instagram.
Yeah.
Has been doing that a lot recently. He's just sharing random artists and stuff like that.
All
And then
sorts of artists too.
a million followers the next day.
Also, how quick does Will Smith go from I don't do Instagram at all to king?
Oh, yeah, man.
This is like 2 months, and he's like, I got this, no problem. He's just
I'm just gonna have Michael Bay direct this 10-second long video.
I know, right?
Like, I'm like, what's the production on this 30-second long video? It seems like more than I make in a year.
And you know what? I think one
Will
of his,
Smith, man.
his secrets to this is that he's not out here trying to be anybody but himself.
Exactly.
Like, he's so secure in himself that he'll do whatever. The guy will do like a YouTube rewind thing and look like a fool. Okay. But then simultaneously do like some like super cool like skydiving thing, whatever. He'll have his kids, he'll have his whatever. He'll do anything that he sees and like what he likes. Right.
Yeah.
And so that comes down to the same thing with like sharing stuff where it's just like it's more of an expression. I like this. I think other people would like it too.
Right.
Let me share it. It's not like I can't share that because it doesn't line up with my image or
it's
whatever.
not good enough yet.
Yeah, it's not
like,
good enough for me or this, that, whatever. Like this dude shares pages like under 10,000 followers and he has like 40 million or something, right? It's like, why can't
He's
most
just
people
out
do
here
that?
living life, man.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like people could say like, oh, he's whatever, he's cringy, he's corny, or stuff like that. But you can only respect him because what are you? You're sitting here writing hate comments about Will Smith while he's just here living his absolute best life, like skydiving and all that stuff. Like,
dude's royalty now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Will Smith, Jada Pinkett. That I'm taking that from Childish. Childish said that Jaden is like new royalty, new black royalty.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Crazy. Such a cool concept to think of.
Yeah.
All right. So your new project out. Oh no, wait. So when the listeners are listening to this, a couple singles will be out, so they can check that out on Spotify.
Yeah.
Or where can they hear this?
They'll be on YouTube definitely.
Yeah, the music video might drop. We're not sure.
Hopefully Spotify.
Okay. So so visuals will be released
videos,
at that time. All right. Fair enough. Okay.
For should we say the titles of the song?
Now let it be a surprise.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right. Excellent.
And Muslim Fest is from August 30th to 3rd, I believe. What days are you guys
It's
performing?
gonna be September 1st.
We're
September 1st.
Yeah,
There you go.
So what's funny is we just got our schedule timings and we're like second last. So that's like headlining.
That's sick.
Okay.
And that's like, that's really cool because like that's going to be like about like 15,000 or something as like the crowd and stuff. Yeah. And what's funny is that like we don't get nervous anymore really on stage. It's just more like that kind of nervous excitement that you kind of get. And what's crazy to think about is like just this year we've had some of our like worst and most demoralizing performances just like 2-3 months ago, right? And then to think that like we could potentially be like ending off the year with like, or ending the summer with such a huge performance. It's crazy the contrast that we kind of have in our career. Where like that one is a great story. That performance that we did.
Which one? The wedding?
Yeah. So we're not wedding
doing
singers.
weddings, man.
No. We're not wedding singers. We keep a quota of like 3 weddings a year,
right?
Max,
because
right on top
this
of
is the thing. Weddings pay well, and sometimes
you need recording money to make the album, man.
Recording music costs a lot of money.
So we always say we charge above our standard price for like other performances for like wedding shows, because like weddings are really hit or miss, right? So the couple who asked us, they're fans, right? And it helped that they were fans because, you know, like they like us enough to bring us to their wedding and be a part of
such a special
moment.
moment.
Right? That's like, actually really sick, right? So we were like, sweet, like this is gonna be great. And when we like accepted it and stuff like that, they sent an email where like, oh, can you perform the more like hip hop songs, right? And we're like, okay, that's odd because like, you know, it's a wedding,
right?
And on top of it, they were brown, right? So a lot of the times the cultural clash right there. Sometimes it's cool, sometimes it's not. They were younger.
The uncles and the aunties, man. They
were
look at
younger,
you
like probably like mid-20s or something. So like, you know, obviously they listen to it, but I've been to enough weddings to know that most of the people there aren't of that demographic, right? So then when we went there to perform, the way that the layout was like, there's like, you know, like the dance floor and stuff, and then the bride and groom are there, and then we're in front of them and we're kind of performing to them. Right. And the rest of the wedding is kind of behind us, right? And it's great when you're performing to the bride and groom because like they're the ones who invited you, so they're like the biggest fans and stuff. So we were doing that. It was a little later in the night, and number one, it was like super loud with people talking. So when they announced this, nobody could really hear it. So we come on, we're performing, we're doing our thing, and then all of a sudden, this like one auntie just gets up and just walks right across us in the middle of the dance floor.
Oh man!
To go say, I think salam to like the bride and groom or whatever. She just didn't care, and I was like, okay, all right.
This surprised me in the least. Like,
yeah, and then we're still performing whatever, and like the way we perform, like we're like spinning around, walking around, doing our thing. It's like hip hop songs, so we're like we're amped, right?
Yeah.
So we're doing our thing, and then another one goes, and then more people, and by the second last song, it's like we're performing in the middle of Dundas Square and people are walking by us. And
this guy almost bumped into like 3 different aunties. I'm like, bro, it's not how to send someone to the hospital.
And the way that we are, where we're, this never happened to us before, but we've had other experiences that kind of prepare you for something like this, right? This is our moment, so we were prepared. And like the boss battle. And so when we are in a performance that's kind of like, not hostile, but like, you know, like not particularly favorable, we kind of look at each other and start performing at each other, right? And we like, out of straight defiance, try to get even more hype, right? So we're in there, the only 2 black people in this whole wedding, okay? Just going on like,
nah, Ron, there's one black person in the crowd.
Really?
Yeah, she was like,
yeah, when you're a minority
feeling it.
I know there's this white dude actually right in front of us who was like probably like coworkers with one of them, right there. And what I love about white people is that they always try to be like super polite, no matter what. So he's like, he knows, like, okay, this is bad, and he's like trying to like come along with us and do his thing, whatever. And I'm like, I see you, man, and I thank you for your service. And so we're doing this thing where like we're going off, whatever, and it's just like literally imagine you're in the middle of performing. It's a stage, like there's a clearly, it's not like an actual stage,
it's just the dance floor,
but it's a defined space, right? It's not like we're just performing randomly in the middle of a crowd, and people just be walking around you, and I'm like, bro, how disrespectful. Like, you couldn't wait. It was like a 15-minute show.
The worst part about it, and what I felt bad for, is that the groom like specifically invited us out here, and people are going up to take pictures and talk to him, and he can't even see our performance. So like, yo, and just like relax yourself.
I felt bad because I knew they felt bad about it, and it's like, imagine like you bring like artists that you really like, and then you're like random people to screw up the performance for no reason. I'm like, yo, so after that, like, he apologized to us. He's like, man, I'm so sorry, whatever. It's, you know, how it would be. And we're like, yeah, we know how it would be. It'd be like that sometimes. And then, you know, we kept it pushing.
Brown people don't respect anything, man.
Nope.
You know, like okay,
Honestly,
That old generation. I'm surprised they didn't. As they were walking around you, they said, "Also, can you help me move this table?" Like just while you're doing that, stop what you're doing, move this table.
I was
for
at
me.
a wedding about a week and a half ago. Dude was breakdancing on top of his head, and ladies were walking past him. He could have killed one of them. He was like, he had the center stage, and some aunties were like, I'm just across through this big area that's created.
like you
A
don't
man
have
is on his
there's
head
so
spinning.
much space. There's so much space to just go around.
you
They're
don't
just like,
have the physical stature to be being reckless like
Yo,
that.
man. I'm looking forward to September 1st. You know what would be hilarious? You're up there on stage. Auntie decides to cut right through the stage.
Goes
And
through,
security's
the
just like-
whole VIP zone fences, whatever. Just like walks through. Is like
Whatever.
You're like, well,
Don't
what are you
underestimate
gonna do
the
at that
aunties, man.
point?
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's Muslim Fest.
And one thing that was kind of like frustrating about that is that, you know, we've been doing this for 6 years from when we were like really young. And after like year 3, it was getting kind of annoying, like these bad performances. And we're like, you know, okay, when are we going to level up? But it's always like, you got to pay your dues, right?
that's true.
It's like when you're in the regular thing, whenever you're performing at the different bars, it's like 2 people there, you know what I'm saying? Like that, right? Any profession. You got to pay your dues. But it gets to a certain point where you're like,
How many of these dues do I have?
Exactly. First of all, I don't recall like ever having to be this much in debt with dues. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 2, this could have been avoided.
Yeah.
Right. Because like where we are right now, where we kind of we can reject performances sometimes, right? And it's all because like at that moment we kind of like needed the money or whatever. Like we always say like we don't want to do weddings because weddings like 75% of the time are bad. Like we don't like it, right? But you know, you got to do what you got to do. And it's just like really frustrating because they're like, yo, it's year 6 and something new happened to me that was negative, right? That shouldn't be like, we should have been seen it all by now, right? Like we performed at places where there's people are like, yo, we got 1 mic and it's a clip-on mic. Can you guys share?
Oh.
What do you want
this
me
was,
to do?
no, this was back when there was 3 of us. They're like, here's 1 mic for 3 of you. Shit, we had to stand in a circle like this, like, just trying to make this
I'm
thing
out here
work.
trying to beatbox. It seems trying to sing. This dude's trying to rap, whatever. And we're like, do you want a good show? That's the thing that I never understand too with these organizers of these places, man. Is that like I understand it's hard work to organize something, but there's certain things that you just need to pay attention to, like getting a good sound system, having a good setup. Just take 5 seconds to consider the acoustics because it makes or breaks the show. And I'm thinking here, I'm like, I just committed highway robbery because you paid me what $1,000 just to come here and people can't even hear me sing.
I don't like.
And I'm like, I'm the winner here, man. Okay, y'all screwing yourselves over. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, yeah, man, it gets really frustrating. So, like, you know, it's crazy how now we could potentially be ending off the year at like Celebration Square. Any artist in Toronto would love to be headlining there. Like, that's like a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And it's a really nice stage, really professional, whatever. And it's just so crazy how like you can go from that and then next week be performing in front of like 50 people or whatever. And it's just like you have to live off these highs like every year. Okay, you just get one. And also with
squirrel
us,
in the winter over here.
yeah,
Exactly,
And the
bro.
thing with us, like, it's not necessarily the amount of people there; it's the type of people in the crowd. So if we're performing, like, let's say Mist, right?
Yeah.
I love
Their
this.
sound systems are never good.
Yeah.
Okay. There's always audio issues
Yeah.
every single year, except that one time it was in like this really cool.
If
hall,
you ever felt
right?
nervousness around that, because normally I'm taking pictures of you guys and I'm like, these mics suck. They sound better than this. This is
Yeah.
the problems.
But the thing is that the people there are hype, yo. Like they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
supportive, they
Teenagers,
love
man.
they'll clap along there, whatever. So that's cool, man. I'll perform in the middle of a random park in front of 2 people as long as they're into it.
Yeah.
I cannot stand when we're performing at a place.
And people are just like this.
It's like a couple hundred, and it's always Muslims, man. Why? Enjoy yourself.
They also don't like to show emotions in public.
Exactly.
Like, I can't
It's the
pretend to enjoy
strangest
this
thing.
right now.
Low key, I'm a little triggered. Just
Why?
because when we go to concerts, I'm a very low key
Yeah.
concert thing.
Listen to me.
Right? I'll nod my head, but that's about
Let
it.
me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right
Learn
quick.
you
Let me
something
tell you
real
something
quick.
right quick. When you're on stage,
Yeah.
right, and the type of like we see like your type right there, we can't read your mind.
Yeah.
So you look like you're not enjoying yourself.
Right. And I'm having-
At
I'm
most, if you can nod your head,
Yeah.
then that's a signifier.
Okay,
But if you're
alright.
just kind of like.
No,
whatever,
I know
these
my head,
people
yeah.
will be like stone faced.
Yeah.
Okay. The whole time. Come after and be like,
That was
"Dude, that was
amazing."
one of the best performances I've ever seen. Like, yo, oh my god, I had chills. I'm like, where? Where was the chills? You look like a statue, fam. Like I don't know.
You know what the
right?
problem with is? This guy, we'll be watching Transformers, like the first one, and he's like, "There's Bumblebee." I'm like, I've never seen you do that in a live performance. He's ruining the movie for me. Is how much he's excited.
Oh my
You go to a
God.
comedy show, he's like, "I love this guy."
Yo, now I laugh. Now I let go. I let go. I'm learning a little bit. You know, after I watch.
That's a shout out to anybody who doesn't react. Like, hey, this is a two-way street, people. You gotta send that energy.
Exactly.
Yeah, the thing is, like, what's so funny is that our dad is like that. Okay, you know, dad's super supportive of our music career. Shout out to him, all that. But like, yo, the last performance we did,
His head was down. He wasn't even looking at us. He wasn't even looking at us.
Are we like embarrassing the family name right now? Like, I can't tell. Like, are
I'm
we
pretty sure
we
he was
bring
looking at his phone
dishonor
or something
upon
like
you?
that.
Like, what is going on here? Like, you know, and I have to be like, yeah, it was good.
It was good.
It's, just help me out, please. Okay, because you're really like, people don't understand how aware people are on stage in seeing facial expressions, man. Like, I got my glasses now, I can see. Okay, I couldn't see before, but I can see now. Okay, and that hasn't helped, because if somebody's just not being receptive, there's only one way you can take it. Like, you can't say like, oh, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and think they enjoy my performance.
That same energy you put towards Star Wars, you gotta put it to these people who are just stone cold. Just
like, yo, man.
Inshallah, your crowds are gonna get like
better,
bigger and bigger, where you can't actually
Hopefully.
focus in on one person.
Hopefully.
Because in those small rooms, you're like, why is this guy coughing this whole time? But you get in a big spot. Like,
but I like
Muslim Fest.
intimate shows.
I'm gonna come out though.
sometimes.
I'm definitely gonna come out.
Hey, thanks for
Thank you, man.
Intimate shows are great, except when they don't go right. Like, just they go all the way wrong.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all.
Hit or miss, yo.
Nonetheless, inshallah, this new project gets you to the next step. Less dues to pay.
Yeah.
More highs to ride off of, inshallah. That's
Less
gonna be great.
aunties.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I really appreciate
Thank you
coming
for
back
coming
on.
man.
Thank you for having us.
Anytime you want to stop by again.
Yo, for
And-
sure.
I love
And-
podcasts.
Yeah,
It's so much fun.
Yeah, and debate whatever you want in nerd culture.
We're doing
I am down,
anime
bro.
next time,
I
okay?
have-
No one
I
has
have-
time for Star Wars
I
anymore.
have weird-
Dragon Ball Z is garbage.
It is.
Okay.
Oh, I'm down with that.
It
That's
is.
easy. That's
Yeah,
easy.
Dragon Ball Z is trash.
Yeah, that's fine.
Naruto
That's
is the
fine.
greatest anime ever created.
Yeah, I co-sign that.
Yep.
100%.
Or Gurren Lagann.
That one's also very
That
No,
was
it's
amazing.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Nah, get out of here.
Yeah,
That's
Full
all
Metal
right.
Alchemist.
It
It's all
has
right.
everything. It has good comedy, good story, great emotion.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's funny. It's all that stuff like that in one nice package of just like 60 episodes. It's the best.
But, do they have giant fox monsters? No.
They have alchemy,
No,
fam. It's
I don't
one of
care.
the best
I don't
anime
care.
universes
They don't have ninjas.
made.
They don't have ninjas.
Get out of here.
They don't have ninjas.